opponent. Likewise for who's the opponent here? It's Blazehomewrecker. He wants to finish third as well. They're both fighting for the same thing, and it's the one match to decide it. So they're putting it all on the line here.
All right, so we're in Longsword 2. We've been having this debate among several people. I forget if you've discussed your point of view on Longsword 2 versus Doran's, have you?
I quite like Longsword normally on Caitlyn. I generally make a lot of mistakes when I play Caitlyn, so I use the pots as a way to get a lot of health back without having to attack the minions. Because often, if you're on low health and you're away from the minions and you're behind, you can often get harassed or forced out of lane. Doran's, however, after doing a few duels, it seems to be the predominant choice, and it works much better in terms of damage. Especially
with the bigger champion pool, I think, because you've mentioned that Caitlyn has weaknesses in burst mages and other people who can, negate that poke advantage, and Longsword doesn't offer that in this event. With the pool basically being constrained to bruisers and like hard committers, people like Jax, Riven, Lee Sin, you've got AP mid, Syndra, Ahri, Elise, not really Elise, but you got AP mids, and you got AD carries like Caitlyn, Ezreal, Ashe. If you take Doran's, you're probably going to have a huge advantage over any bruiser that comes up, which means that you have the lifesteal. If you're against an AP mage, the Doran's will offer the health to help mitigate that burst, and I feel like the Doran's is a better pick in that case. I'm biased because I prefer Doran's. Longsword is good if you plan to build it into something, but here that's not going to be the case. I mean, Kitty picked up Vamp Scepter on Jace when she was playing Jace, so that might be her plan.
Yeah, the Doran's Blade, as you said, it's a good all-round item, but it doesn't offer that late game build into ability. As we speak, of course, the two laners have started farming. Caitlyn's mostly been focused on getting the creeps, although has just put an attack down onto Riven. Both champions reach level 2, and there's not been much initiation from either player onto the other.
So we were calling it, when you played Caitlyn versus Lee Sin, we were noticing that the trap placement was centered around the edges. Well, not centered around the edges, but it was focused on guarding the edges because Lee Sin really needs to approach from the edge. Here, Kitty's just kind of made this little V formation, which, with the one in the middle in particular is kind of saying you can't just straight up attack, which I think is pretty intelligent use of it, because Brandon is Riven, you don't need to land a skill shot to go in like Lee Sin. You can just straight up, spam your Q, spam your E, do whatever. And with that wall of traps that she had, it's hard for Brandon to find that opening.
Yeah, I do. I'm sure the viewers know by now how much Caitlyn I play. The wall of traps is generally a good idea, and as you've said, against melee champions like Riven, the best route to you is just straight up run in and attack you. Putting down a wall of traps and retreating onto them obviously causes them to get stunned if they want to take that approach, and can force them into moving around the side. What I think Naomi started to do very well here, she started the wall of traps at the back in case the opponent gets a lead, but over the course of the laning phase starts to move them up as Caitlyn gets more of a lane advantage and more poke down onto the opponent. It's a way of slowly restricting the enemy and reducing the amount of space they can move in.
Okay, so Brendan's farm game. There was this giant wave that Kitty was pushing into his tower. I'm sure everybody saw it, and at the time, Brandon was only 2 CS down in a Riven versus Caitlyn matchup where he's been, completely unable to engage on Caitlyn. He's still managing to have some sort of advantage in the farm game, and if he can start, building that pressure that Riven gets at level 6, I think he can, he can win both the kill game and the farm game. So, Kitty really needs to get that wall of traps out. Oh, he's going in. Interesting. Okay. There's the net and the response. But still, that's what he needs to do. He needs to keep Kitty on her toes and not just get her into this comfortable farming routine where that's a fight that he needs to really think about to win.
Yeah, I think Brandon here, he's gone for the Fortitude Elixir, so he obviously wants a power spike, and judging by earlier Riven games, we've seen 2 already, both of the Riven players seem to want that level 6 all-in engage. So after buying this Doran's here, I think he's building up towards a big engage here. I have, however, been impressed by, as you've said, the ability to farm, almost comparably to Caitlyn, which is no mean feat, when being harassed by her. Now, Naomi on Caitlyn here is beginning to run out of mana. That doesn't matter in terms of auto attacks, but it reduces your escapability. Obviously the damage from the Q poke from Piltover Peacemaker, and you're just running out of traps to put down. So what Naomi will want to do is ideally push another wave into the tower and then recall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just said mana is not a huge constraint. I mean, it doesn't stop you from auto attacking. Whereas it will constrain mid laners, which we've seen in matchups with Syndra and Ahri, where you absolutely need mana to function. So it's not the end of the world. As long as you've got enough for a net, I think it's fine. She's got her trap wall, and Brandon doesn't really seem keen on popping those traps. I mean, right now, okay, there he is. Yeah, so he is doing that. I lied. I don't really have a comment right now. Brandon's probably going to be hitting level 6 fairly soon. Let me get a check on that. Oh,
yep,
okay,
he's just hit level 6.
Okay, so now things have changed.
Yeah, Brandon still has the Fortitude Elixir, so he can get more health and attack damage at any point. And ideally, he'll want Caitlyn to have used 90 caliber net before that happens. Here we go. It's just ripe for an engage. Brandon, however, choosing not to go in.
3Q. As soon as the first one comes out, he's not really pushing the aggression. Force the net. The net cooldown, I believe, is somewhere around 18 seconds or so. So he's got fairly good dominance. I mean, he could absolutely take out Caitlyn very easily. He's going to instead opt to play defensively, shielding the auto.
Now, I'm impressed by the ability of Naomi to hit pretty much every Q she's fired this game. Now, Riven as a champion. Oh, here goes Riven. He pops the ult,
yep.
2 broken wings, takes the turret hit, Caitlyn gets the headshot, the wind slash only does 10% damage to Caitlyn. Riven leaves the trade with half health, not much damage put down on Caitlyn. It's probably a bad trade for Brandon as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, because it took his ultimate out of the equation. I mean, that's, the nurse to her quite a while ago increased the cooldown, so you're not going to have it as frequently. And he's really counting on having that up, so I would expect him to play more passively, but Kitty's going to need to recall at some point, which gives him time to just wait out the cooldown. Oh, there's a trap. He doesn't care. Oh, there we go.
Now, I've noted that Brandon didn't use his Fortitude Elixir. I've mentioned this a few times, but I think that could have caused him to harass Caitlyn down a bit further. This might be the ideal time to do it. Caitlyn hasn't got Doran's Blades, health or movement items. She's on the back of a push, if you will, so she's running out of mana, so fairly vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I reckon if any time was ripe to pop the red elixir, it would have been then. Saying that, Naomi's still pushing. Yeah, she's winning the farm game.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily push the wave back right here because, I mean, I get what I get what she's trying to do. Either keep the farm game going, or she's just trying to create an opening for her to recall. But yeah, as you said, she has really no way to stop Brandon from, I don't know, doing what he's supposed to do. So now she's going to recall. She's going to find that opening.
The big test here will be to see whether Riven can break down the outer turret.
The Greaves are interesting, and the Vamp Scepter, as we've come to expect. So he's going to get that damage going on. She seems to be waiting out the Flask.
Ooh,
an interesting pick. We haven't seen one of those yet.
I like the Flask, very good for sustain, along with the Vampiric Scepter, so it doesn't look like she'll be leaving lane again. And I like the choice of the Berserker's Greaves because it allows you to kind of counter Riven's mobility, more than just a basic Boots of Speed. Caitlyn, however, was very slow to purchase those, saying that she gets back to the turret by the time it gets to half. I reckon if Caitlyn has to go back again, she's lost. But we'll have to see what happens in terms of fights now and whether Caitlyn can keep farming as well as she has.
And that's why I'm not big on the Flask, I think, because it requires you to go back to the fountain to refill it. And it's no easy task to just say, oh, I'm just going to go back to the fountain to get it, because That's huge tower damage. That's CS damage. That's waiting for your opponent's ultimates to come down. I mean, during that recall, you've basically had Brandon get half of his ultimate cooldown back up at almost no pressure. And now he's got it back up, and now she's kind of be on her feet again. She doesn't have the timer for it, but I think it's best to just assume that he always has it up, and he does.
Definitely. Oh, I appear to have been following the stream. I'm going to get back to my spectator mode. So it's a bit more up to date. Farm now is 61 for Caitlyn versus 48 for Riven. Again, very impressive farm for Riven given the range of Caitlyn and constant harass. It's quite... I can't understate how difficult it is to farm against a Caitlyn.
So now he's level 9. He's got the 5th point in what I believe is his Q. Yep. I mean, yeah, level 5. Okay, so now he's unpredictable. He just completely lashed out with the Q. I didn't see that one coming. It took me a surprise, and he's just kind of saying, "Hey, I'm still a threat, even if I'm not." Okay, there's the trap. That's a good trap. And there's the Piltover. That was a nice shot.
Ooh, not using the headshot on Riven there. Ooh. I find it very weird that Brandon's using the Q to farm rather than harass. And even if he isn't harassing, using the Q is just basically shouting, "Okay, I can't attack you now, feel free."
Mm-hmm. It is giving up one of your best mobility and offensive tools, so I don't know. Does he expect to turn around the farm game somehow? Maybe by creating pressure that he didn't have up until now. Oh, and he's getting the opening. He's going. Oh, the tower's going to protect her. I wouldn't pursue that. And he's just going to get autos all the way back during his retreat. The Piltover comes out. That was it. The Piltover required Kitty to stay still in a position where, I think a bit too close, but I believe Brandon's skills were probably on cooldown, so safe there.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of how skilled you are, it's always going to...
Oh, he goes in! He's popped the 4 pod, he goes in, he's got the ignite, he throws down the wind slash.
Now, this is good, because I think he's going to have to stay in to protect the turret.
She's got the flask, and it looks as though she's got 3 charges on it still. 3 charges on it.
This could be the turret game if Brandon can get another wave down. It's going to be close. I can't really call this one way or the other.
I don't think he'll have quite the damage because he's invested in the Vamp Scepter with another Dorns perhaps, but here we go. He's got the full minion wave. Purple's got no minions coming out. It's taking too long.
That's game.
GG.
Yeah.
Riven with the tower kill. That's something we didn't expect. That took me by surprise. You'd think Riven wants to play the kill game, but 3 ways to win. He found another one.
Yep, you'd think Riven would have the kills down, Caitlyn would have the farm down, but no, the tower goes. Well played to both. I liked both players' styles there, but that's a win.